Francois, thanks for sitting down with us today.
It's a pleasure.
We want to take some time to chat with you a little bit about the work that you do. You're the senior producer on Assassin's Creed 3, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So what does that job entail?
Someone said before to me that the role of a producer on a big project like that is really to land the 747 on the aircraft carrier. So it's a tough job. That being said, it's true that I don't do much in a way that I don't code. I'm not responsible for the creative. This is something that Alex does. This is something that the other
Alex Hutchinson, the creative director,
the creative director does and does very well. So my role is really to make sure that everything converge.
Well, another thing that's really interesting about the Assassin's Creed franchise is that traditionally, particularly in these last few installments, though the base of operations and the largest bulk of the team is here at Ubisoft Montreal, you pull talent and work from kind of all over the world, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's studios that are involved literally around the world.
Okay.
So Alex and I, literally every few months, we do a quick around the world trip to visit everyone and to communicate our expectations in the timeline and stuff like that, the direction of the project. But yes, I mean it's sometimes difficult to manage, but at the same time, it's what makes AC what AC is. In terms of there's different cultures involved. There's different times of ways to think. Creative guys, different studios that are doing different things.
Does that sort of autonomy for the different studios come because they're each working on independent parts of the project?
Yeah, like you mentioned at the start, we have the leadership here in Montreal, and what we've decided to do is to give parts that are independent, but as well very linked to the main experience. But it's not just artists that are there, or it's just not programmers. They really work on things on their own. They have a small part of the project, or actually not small, big part of the project.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you might have like an entire team of artists, programmers,
it's fully
everybody at an individual studio that might be working on, let's say, the multiplayer game or the UI or something like that.
No, you see, like the UI, it's something that we do here, but it's true that the multiplayer, it's being done in NC.
Oh, okay.
This is a big part. This is a big part of the game. But it's true that we have other studios that are working on things that are from the solo experience of AC3, but are not necessarily part of the main narrative, if I can put it this way.
Yeah.
Without giving too much details.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit then about. I mean, it sounds like there's a large number of people working. You've got potentially. I mean, how many studios are we talking about here? Is it like 2-3 other studios? Five full studios.
5 studios. 5 teams inside different studios. Yeah.
And so you've got 5 different teams, each working on discrete sections of the game.
Yeah.
What challenges are present in managing a team of that size and scope, and what makes it different from if you just had everybody here in the office?
I have to say that the time zone sometimes it's hard to manage, but no. Generally speaking, what we in terms of values, what I really believe in is to say we have direction right from the start. We have expectations. We have clear mandate to those teams. The strategy has always been, in terms of values, has always been to have have as much as ownership into those teams, so they can feel that they're working on something that's not just a kind of outsourcing company, or it's not like just a factory. It's really something it's a big thing that they do on their own. And so yeah, I mean that's the way that we've been the most effective so far. It's true that in terms of communication, in terms of we have a few processes in place to make sure that everyone gets to understand what the other studios are doing, because just in Montreal, it's a large team, but it's kind of easier to make sure that everyone understands what's the progress on the team, what are the results that we have, because we can have the team in a room and present it, or we can have a regular email. But what we're trying to do in terms of communication style that we have, or values that we have, is that we really believe in transparency. So this is something we're asking the team to do. So every week, really, when you think of every single team, what they do is that they video record the work of their people, or of the team that they have, kind of a progress in progress result. And we make a newsletter per week of what every studio is working on and what's the progress on that. So when you think of
does that go out to the whole team?
Let's go out to the whole team.
Okay.
Really, and when you think of this is one example. We have other solutions for that, or other communication trick that we have for that. But it's really it's at the core of it. It's about communication. It's about making sure everyone understands what they have to do, and it's about making sure everyone understand what the other ones are doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I find really interesting about the way that different game studios work is that there's this wide variety of approaches to, getting from point A to point B. If point A is the concepting of a game, and point B is here's a game out on the shelf, right? With a wider number of game studios that you guys have, do you follow kind of a more traditional approach of like having benchmarks or milestones that the whole team is on this date we will be at this point, and then on this date we will be at this point? Or because you've got these different teams working on discrete sections, is it more like flexible than that? So one team might have, we want to be here on, beginning of April, and another, the multiplayer team might not have anything going on at that point. They might be in the midst of a crunch or something.
It's true that at the start of the production, it was about having the right ideas and making sure that each studio were having the right direction. So the time aspect was less important. The more we go in production, the more it is critical, and the more it needs to be. We need to align our milestone, our deliverables. So it's true that at this point, everyone needs to converge to the same date. So we have not just the final date from a ship point of view, but we have feature complete that's coming in the next few weeks. We have alpha that's coming in the next few weeks as well. So to make sure everyone is delivering the same thing at the same time. So yes, at some point, very early in production, we can have a picture of a full game, not just a portion of it or a very detailed stuff, but the big picture. So yes, we're asking the teams to be basically at this point, we're asking the team to do to present result of deliverables every 6 weeks.
Oh wow!
So every 6 weeks, we make sure as a group that everyone does deliver what's expected. And sometimes it doesn't converge. There's risks always. There's things, but that so far, I mean, touch on wood, but it's been, the team has been incredible to deliver a steady result.
Sure. Well, I mean, everything that we've seen about Assassin's Creed 3 at this point, it seems particularly ambitious. There's a lot of things about the game that are fundamentally new to the franchise, which is certainly one of the things that we're most excited about from what you guys have been showing us on our visit here. Tell me a little bit. I think in the wider world of the gaming public, there might be a perception that, particularly with the Assassin's Creed franchise, that it's like, well, we've got one coming out every year. So what they're doing is they finish up Brotherhood, and then they do this mad rush to Revelations, and then they finish that up, and then they do this mad rush to Assassin's Creed 3. Is that the way that it works?
No, it's that's something that's. I'm glad that you asked the question, because it's true that we've been working on AC3 for the past 2 years now. So it's something like it's a.
So you were working right after Brotherhood finished, right?
Well, actually, right at the start of Brotherhood.
Oh,
when you
okay.
think of it, there was people working on AC3 when Brotherhood was in production.
Okay, so beginning of 2010.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've seen teams shipping ACB, we've seen teams shipping ACR, but we were always working on AC3. And at the start, we're really pretty happy to have teams, especially on the tech side, on the AI and on the engineering part of the team, to be working fully staffed right at the start, pretty much. So we can have big investment on and take risks, like you mentioned, very early on the Frontier, on the other stuff that you've seen yesterday.
And so. One of the other things that you just mentioned is the idea that in a few weeks, you guys are going to be sort of feature complete.
Yep.
So what happens then from there on out for somebody who is maybe not familiar with the development process?
Yeah.
Why can't they just play the game 6 weeks from now? What is that? What's happening between 6 weeks from now and later this year that is so important?
Well, the way we see it is that we feel that there's a big value to make sure that the level designer, the mission designer for AC3 can work with tools, can work with mechanics that are working.
Okay.
That are in a state that can be implemented in a mission where you can have a feel for it. That's the only way that we can have an early alpha of all the missions. So basically, what we want to have in a few weeks, actually, is to have the full game at the alpha state where you can play everything from beginning to end.
Yeah.
With a lot of crashes, with a lot of things that are not finished, obviously, but you can. So basically, to have a polish phase right after this. And not getting into debug right after we're finished, especially in the mission. Mission is really core to the experience of AC3. This is where everything converges. From a cinematic, from, like I said, the AI, the mechanics, all the tech involved, all the new tech involved, all needs to converge in. So we want to give the mission guys as much as I would say leverage to make sure that they have something for alpha. They have something that's playable, and not say just this meant to be this, and I'm telling you that this is meant to be this, but it doesn't work. It needs to be in the game.
So you're talking about what amounts to, like, in a film might be almost like editing, right? Where you've got something that's there and you're looking at it and you're saying, this is good, but this isn't great, and we want to change it. Is that what you're talking about?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's hard to compare both medium, but because it's so big, like the experience of AC3, it's in terms of scale is massive. So we want to make, in terms of mission, in terms of flow, we really want to have, from a story as well point of view, we want to make sure that we have a flow ready for iteration and to start focus tests, play tests, and so on and so forth.
Traditionally, when you get to this point in a project, are there sometimes significant features that completely change in the course of this next 8 months or so?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We want to make sure that we have that time to make changes.
So it could happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like we want to make sure that we can put the team into a place where they have the chance to adapt or to change if needed. Hopefully we cut as less as possible, because it's true, it's frustrating for a team to cut features. But yes, things happen, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your personal experience of working with that wider view of the game. You say you've got these different teams who are working on individual parts of the game, but someone, presumably you and probably Alex as the creative director, has to have the big picture. Is it really possible for one individual to have a big picture of a project that is that expansive and has that many different kind of moving parts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we get to see a lot of things, and like I said before, in terms of steady results, we get to see every week the result of everyone. So yes, at some point, it's hard to get the details of everything that's happening or everything that's being done on a daily basis, for that matter. But yeah, from a big picture point of view, we get to understand pretty much everything is going on, and what team is having what risks and what they're struggling with. How can we help? Mostly from a narrative point of view, from a mechanic point of view, I have to say that Alex Hutchinson have a very, very clear picture of the entirety of the game. Yeah.
And from that big picture view that you personally have, what is it at this point in the process that you're most excited about this particular game?
The change in the tone of the game will make a big difference. The new era, obviously. But the wilderness is going to be the big one. It's going to be the one that people will say, "Oh, this is something that I haven't figured out. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to have that kind of experience," because it is a fundamentally different experience. Yeah.
It's awesome. Oh, we can't wait to get to see more of it. Thanks a lot for taking the time today to chat with us.
Thanks.